to do executive session at the beginning or the end. It's not on there.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to February 27th, 2023's Hyde Park Town Board meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any public comments on resolutions at this time? Okay.
Yeah, a couple people there now.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear? Is this working well? Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carol Pickering. I'm a resident of Hyde Park. I've lived and or worked here for about 23 years. And as a former superintendent of schools in Hyde Park, I want to address the Bellafield development issue and the proposals for 10 versus 20 years of abatement. I'm very concerned, and I don't speak for myself, I speak for many because of the time I've spent in Hyde Park and all the people I know. There's a great concern that this will not benefit or support the town and the taxpayers. Every dollar that Bellafield gets exempted will be borne by the taxpayers in one way or another. How do I know that? I've been involved in pilots for many years in my work, and I know that drill and how it goes. And unless there is a lot of negotiation and a lot of fair back and forth and transparency about what's going on, it's not going to benefit us as a community. Now, do I think that it's good to have Bellafield come in and have commercial property? Absolutely. One of the reasons our taxes are so high is that we have very few rateables. And among other reasons, like not having had a reassessment in over 30 years, that's another topic. But yes, of course we support that, but it has to be fair to the taxpayers. And I'm not convinced that this is the way it is being presented. Now, how it's being presented is a little bit vague, a little bit not transparent. Where are the side-by-side comparison charts? Maybe we're going to see them later this evening. And it has to be in a way that the average taxpayer can understand. It can't be an in-the-weeds, deep 25 pages of development Bellafield's data. That is going to convince us that you're going to do the right thing if you support this 20-year project, this proposal. I was at the school board meeting last week and I spoke, and I heard the presentation from the Bellafield developers. And yeah, they did their homework, but it wasn't relatable to the average person listening, and by average I mean reasonably intelligent and caring. For example, they brought up that their costs have increased threefold since this, no kidding. Our expenses have increased threefold as well. We, the average taxpayer, are paying more for everything just like the developers. That doesn't seem that viable a reason for asking for the 20-year abatement. I just want to say to you, the town board, elected officials, please take this carefully and slowly and thoughtfully, and don't just sign off and say, oh yeah, that's what it costs and that's what it has to be. Because the average taxpayer, this is 20 years is a whole generation, and it has to benefit this community and our taxpayers. So thank you for your thoughtful consideration.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Burke Chandler. I've been a homeowner in Hyde Park for about 47 years, and I've been delivering Meals on Wheels in this community for about 12 years. My concern is on the 20-year pilot versus a 10-year pilot.
Can't hear you.
My concern is on a 20-year pilot versus a 10-year pilot. And why should the taxpayers cover the cost and expense risk of the company that's doing the building and construction? I would suggest that we would let their investors cover the risk of their increased cost of labor, material, and financing. It's also not clear to me what is the value of additional one-bedroom apartments in our community. When I look at all of the new apartments that are constructed down around the train station, I suspect that's where the young professionals would want to live. And it's not clear what the difference in the homeowners' taxes would be for their property, and I understand the school taxes would be the major impact as opposed to the property taxes. But I'm just wondering if the 10-year pilot that's been agreed to is kind of like the old expression of the camel's nose under the tent, and what they really want is a 20-year abatement. And I would be opposed to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Mark Swenson. I own the 52 acres basically surrounding this project, and from the start of this project, I've actually been very excited about it. I've been very happy to see something happening in the town and seeing everything go in. My big concern is on this 20-year pilot, same as everyone else. I live in the Fairview Fire District, and the Fairview Fire District taxes went up 12% last year. So of all of the taxes that I pay, 60% of my tax bill went to Fairview. So if this is going to end up going in, I'm really concerned about what's going to happen to the 1,800 households in Fairview that are going to now have to start picking up more liability, let alone the Roosevelt Fire Department, which is also going to have to pick up more work. The police are going to be picking up more work. There's a lot of extra work here that's going to be picked up, and then you have the school districts in general. I mean, the school districts already don't have enough money. I mean, I think it'd be kind of crazy to basically give, well, venture capitalists money when they have plenty of it. I mean, they can borrow plenty of it, they can get plenty of it. I don't understand why the town would be worried about that. Like, 10 years seems like sufficient. If somebody would give me 20 years, I'd build you a business too. I mean, it's I don't know. That's it. I appreciate your time. I was just pretty much just wanted to say that.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thanks, Mark. Anyone else?
In this public, for the understanding of the public, this public comment session is for any of the resolutions, not just pertaining to Belfield. So if anybody has anything else about anything that's on the agenda, you can feel free to come up and speak.
And we're hoping at the workshop that most of your questions are answered.
Just for the public hearings as well?
Yes?
No.
No.
The public hearings, the public hearings on the local laws will be separate. If you want to speak to that, that would be your opportunity.
Okay, let me call those.
It's coming.
Okay. Has there been any written comments?
There have not.
Okay. Oh, ask for a motion to open for the public hearings on the tax exemption for senior citizens.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Now's when he can make his comment.
Prior to starting the public hearing, or before we open it up to the floor, we do have a typographical error in the local law and the resolution that I just want to note. And so I would ask that the board consider an amendment. It would be for the tax exemption for senior citizens. On the income chart, the bottom line goes from $41,499 to $42,500, when that would need to be $41,500. It doesn't change the substance. The rest of the chart is the same. It's clearly a minor error, not a substantive change. So I would defer to the board to make a motion to amend the resolution and the local law to reflect that change.
Can I have a
I-
motion to do such?
I will make a motion.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Motion
Thank
carried.
you.
Thank you. Now we're going to open for comment.
No, not on this one.
Oh, second one? Okay. Lynn? I mean, Nicole?
I don't have any comment.
Okay. Who's going to read
That
it?
was my only comment.
Would you like to
You wanna open
close
up
the
for-
public hearing or open it for public comment?
Public comment first.
I did. Any public comments on the local laws?
Just the one.
The one, number one?
Yes.
No, but we'll do that.
If you have a comment, please step forward.
Could I bring up a comment that was brought up to me?
Yes.
Constituent or two brought up the point of, again, similar to what has already been brought up with other projects, who pays for the difference? If we're exempting taxes, who picks up that tax bill when it comes to budgetary items? So different people have asked me that, so if that could be addressed, it would be helpful, hopefully if they're listening.
It's hard to hear you guys. I don't know if those mics are on, but not hearing it.
Sorry, repeat it?
Tony, we got the volume up?
How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, moving past the black line.
Really, you're supposed to be up here on that line.
Can you say one more time, Lynn?
Sure. Different constituents have asked me to bring up the idea of who pays the difference. If we exempt taxes that are now being collected for the revenue for the town, who will pick up the difference? So a particular person had said she feels that she would be then burdened to cover someone else's taxes. Can we just address that for them? And hopefully they're listening. Is that clear, the question?
It is clear. Matt, to me, that would be a question for the comptroller or the assessor.
Yes.
I don't know if they're here.
These are just changing the percentage and the income levels. Or the percentages stay the same, the income levels have increased. So everything as it's been won't really change.
But that'd be
Except
more
the
people with
income level.
exemptions, right? So
Well,
do we-
higher income.
So do we know how many dollars it is? I mean, if we're talking about, $2,000, that's no big deal, but do we have any idea what the difference would be? I mean, I don't even know how to calculate it. I think it's,
Well, you could look at the exemption now, but, yeah, that would be a comptroller and tax assessor combination. But again, it's only changing the income level. It's a slight increase. We're in the middle of what New York State recommends.
It's very difficult to hear. We cannot hear you.
Huh,
We cannot hear anyone up there.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, now I know how close it's got to be. Thank you. I can hear you.
I know you can.
Yes. What I said is it's changing the income levels. This one, number one, happens to be for senior citizens, to change the income levels, but the percentages are staying the same. And we're in the middle of what New York State recommends to be at. So we went the middle of the road. We didn't increase it as high as we could have, but we went right in the middle. It's a slight increase from what it's been over the years.
And I do believe that this matches what the school did as well, so they are in tandem, they mirror each other.
Yes.
I think, Lynn, to your question, and I'm not a comptroller or an assessor, but I think that the raise, at least from the state's point of view, is that incomes have generally gone up just with wages, perhaps not noticeably, but that to make a rise in the income for seniors made sense based on just statistics from the government as to what the lower threshold is of what most senior citizens would be making. So I think this rose just in tandem with that as well. From, I think it was 24,000 to 34,000, and most municipalities reflected that same degree of change. It's not directly an answer to what you're asking, but that's kind of the basis behind it.
Does that answer yours?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what you were talking about.
Oh, okay.
I was in another.
I can't hear normally anyway, so I talk lower. I'll start yelling. Okay. Do we read this?
No, we need to close the public hearing.
Okay. Can we ask for a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is that Nicole?
Yep.
Okay, second?
Second.
Lynn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. You have to do a roll call on that?
No, I'm not. I'm going to do the resolution.
Oh, okay.
So then we're going to go to the second one.
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to open the public hearing on local law number B of 2023.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's open. Is there any comments?
Good evening. My name is Dan Nichols. I'm a fire commissioner with the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Roosevelt Fire District, here to speak in support of the local law pertaining to the tax assessment relief for volunteer firefighters. Roosevelt Fire District represents approximately 40 square miles of the town of Hyde Park and covers through 5 stations providing firefighter and EMS services through our 100% volunteer firefighter and EMS personnel program. The over 110 members of the Roosevelt Fire District do it free of charge and receive no compensation from the fire district as far as salary to provide over 2,800 calls annually in 2022 to the citizens of the town of Hyde Park. The local law allows for a 10% reduction in taxable assessment for those that qualify under the local law, and we'll talk about that in a second. Currently, you asked what the value would be to the 2022 town budget and the taxable limit of, you had a budget of approximately $6.7 million. Counting 10% of the roughly 35 members that would qualify of the Roosevelt Fire District that are homeowners within the town of Hyde Park, that value is approximately $4,000. Okay. And that $4,000 is a great offset for us to recruit new volunteers, as well as to retain volunteers that have lived in the community for a while. Retaining volunteers is difficult. Finding new volunteers is next to impossible, especially when we ask them to either take a 125-hour basic firefighter training course or a 250-hour emergency medical technician course to ride the ambulance, which constitutes approximately 2,000 of our calls. The one item that I'd like to bring to your attention is that the Roosevelt Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners on February 12th did vote unanimously to support the resolution for us to also give 10% tax relief to our volunteers against the fire tax within the Roosevelt Fire District after a public hearing. We do it as 2 years of active service to the fire district. The County of Dutchess is planning to do 3 years, and under B4 of Local Law 100 that's being proposed, you have it at 5 years. I would ask the board to reconsider 5 years and to lower it to the 2 years, as in the Roosevelt Fire District, 2 years of membership requires you to take basic training courses after the 24-month period, which would mean that they would be an effective firefighter, whether they're 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years at that point in time. This would be a great add, especially since we do have members that not only join our fire department with no experience, but also move into the area, especially from Westchester, due to some of the attractive housing options and transit options, that they're already basically ready-made. They already have their basic firefighter training or their EMT skills, which can be put to immediate use. So we would ask that you would consider modifying your local law to either match what the Roosevelt Fire District has done at 2 years or what the county has done at 3 years. With that, I'll thank you for your time and your hard work on this, and look for a successful motion. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
If I can answer any questions, I'd be more than glad to.
So to answer a question from the council member, with the proposal of 2 years or 3 years, as opposed to what's written of 5 years, that is something that the board can consider. That would be a substantive change to the local law as proposed, so they're certainly entitled to do that. They could address it. You have to renotice it to the public and then start the local law process over. So that is something that they could do. It would then not apply, though, for the 2023 calendar year, because the deadline is March 1st. So then it would apply for the following year. So I just want to caution that if you do it at 5 years as written for this year, then that's what would apply. And then perhaps that's something the board could consider next year to modify it lower, given the feedback or more considerations. But to change it now, just given the timeline, which is why we're having this meeting tonight, so they can consider it before the deadline, that would essentially have to start the process over.
You'd
Does that make
lose a
sense?
year out of the gate.
Yeah.
We'd ask you to revisit it after March.
Exactly.
Okay. Hi, my name is John Green. I live in Hyde Park, Idlewild Drive. I'm trying to get closer to the mic because I know how it is back there. I want to make sure you understood the $4,000 number that Dana used was total. That's not each member. Okay. Right now, to give you for instance, we can get $200, okay, from the government that we claim on our income tax, $200. The way I figured out mine, it's almost, unless everybody agrees to it, I'll have to make a choice whether I want the $200 or maybe the $240, if all the agencies agree to it. It's a nominal number. First of all, I've got 45 years in the fire department, and as you know, reading this just has to do with homeowners. It doesn't have to do with renters, okay? And most of the homeowners in the fire department are young like me. And so you want to keep that experience around. And like Dan Nichols said, it's very difficult. We used to have over 150, 160 members. We're down to about 120, and it's very difficult. Think about if we got rid of the volunteers, it would be a disaster. You could quadruple minimal, your taxes. Okay? I spent 5 years in the city of Poughkeepsie. In fact, when I was in the city, I came up and helped with the fire up here at Roosevelt Home. Then 40 years up here. And we've got some dedicated people. And we've got some young ones coming in. But it's very difficult now with, and I don't have to tell you about OSHA, NFPA, all the regulations that you have to adhere to, that you have to train to, that you have to drill to. And it's a commitment. But you know when that commitment pays off? When you go out and you help somebody. Whether it's an auto accident, whether it's a fire, whether it's a collapse, regardless of what it is. But that's where you get your reward. I was chief of the department. I worked my way up. Now I work my way down. I'm a fire police because of my age. I'm young. I keep the firefighters safety, and I keep the public at safety, so we can run a good scene. And we got to get young guys in there to take my previous job. And I really thank you for looking at this and studying it. And we're here to answer any questions you may have. It's very important. It's not gonna fix all of us in the fire department. But it is what it is. And I thank you for your time and your patience. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Anyone else? No comments? Okay, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing for the firefighter workers.
So moved.
And I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will take everything into consideration on that. We have to do that now? Okay. Oh, we're gonna, okay, we're gonna add at the dais here, Resolution 27 of 11. It's to appoint a machine equipment operator because one of our rec people are in the hospital and may not be coming back. So may I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, can I just clarify, this is for the rec department, or is this to replace the person who resigned from highway?
This is a highway position.
Because it says
Oh, okay.
highway.
Yeah, we have Gordon
Gordon
Lang.
resigned, and we have a
resigned,
snowstorm
and
coming.
this- That's correct. It's highway position.
Highway.
Thank you.
Because of the upcoming storm also, we don't want to be short-handed, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor? No opposed? Okay.
So that's on the agenda.
So we're doing the workshop?
Are we doing it?
Yeah, I'd rather do the workshop.
Sorry, I skipped that.
Oh, it was on the other one?
No, I didn't. put it on here.
You get me in trouble now.
Tricked you.
Okay, we'll do the workshop, overview of the pilot submission process for the Bellafield project to Dutchess County IDA, which all of you are very interested in.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Leibolt with KRC Planning Consultants.
Good evening, Larry Boudreau with Belfield.
Can everyone see the screen?
Oh, it's gonna be hard.
Sorry, that's a big arrow.
You're more than welcome to move your chairs or come over the other side. There's a few chairs over here. Grab a chair off the table if you want to see better. Uh-oh.
That's going to be a problem. You're probably better off just using the track on the map.
Oh, okay, so to stand up on the laptop? I just have to...
I can sit over there if you need me to.
See if this will work. Thank you for allowing us to prepare this presentation for you this evening. Nothing that's contained in this presentation is new information. Sorry, if everyone can hear me. I've never been found to be quiet, so. So nothing in this presentation is new. This is the same presentation that was provided to the school board last week, as the presenters had indicated. And it's really just a consolidation of the existing information that's been submitted to the town board and also to the school board. So every time there's a submission to the school board, we provide a copy to the town board and vice versa. So this will work. Thank you, Amy. It's a really big arrow. This illustration is really more for the general public. Might be easier to just, I don't know where the page, it's such a big arrow.
It's a big job.
There we go. So we wanted to provide this as a really an overall for some of the public who may not be aware of this project, just to provide some additional information. We've, of course, been before the town board and the planning board for quite some time. This particular presentation is a map showing the overall master plan for this project. And so this is a very large parcel. It's 340 acres. The development is predominantly focused on the western side of this site, and it contains many different neighborhoods or sections to the project. The portion of the project that is the subject of this particular pilot or IDA assistance application is called the Villages, and it's the core commercial section of the project. So it contains retail and office, and also contains commercial residential. And there are a few, and I'll point that out, fee simple ownership structures that are in here that are not included as part of the pilot application. This drawing is traditionally, we use the Hart-Howerton plan. So this is the overall master plan that was approved by this town as part of the original approval for this project. And as each section is advanced, it appears before the planning board, which we're in the process of right now to seek site plan approval for. But tonight we're talking about the Villages portion of this project, and we call that phase 2. And so we just wanted to provide you with an overlay so you could see on the site where we're talking about. And this is this core center section. So as many people are probably driving along Route 9, you probably see construction that's going on for this particular project. And the construction that you see is part of phase 1 of the project. And that includes from the south to the north. So the first thing you see if you're traveling north up Route 9 is the hotel, which is under construction. If you advance to the northern section of the property, although it's difficult to see, but the wastewater treatment plant is under construction. And that is also included in phase 1 of the project. The center in between the two of them, that area in between the two of them, is what is the general area for phase 2 for this Villages section. So the overall project, just to give you a sense of what it is that we're talking about that's included into this particular section. So there's 356 residential units. And when I say residential, those are commercial residential, so those are rentals. There is 177,368 square foot of retail space, non-residential space, which would be retail, commercial office space. There is 106,328 square feet of hotel, and that's the hotel that's under construction. Just as far as the units in the commercial residential, because some of these are the questions that have been asked of us, so we wanted to include it in this presentation. There are proposed, 1 bedroom is 244 units, 2 bedroom is 100 units, and then there's 12 townhouses, which are not included in the pilot application. They're in this project, but they're not included in the pilot application because those are fee simple ownership, which cannot be included in IDA assistance.
And those, Kelly, are fully taxable.
Fully taxable, correct, yes. The project density that would be remaining, so that's outside of this project, that's not included in the project that's before the town right now and not included in the IDA assistance, is additional 445 residential units, which will be for sale. So those would be exempt from the pilot, they would be fully taxable. And 546 plus or minus thousand of additional non-residential space. So the total investment for just the villages section of this project, so just this small section that we're talking about, is $407 million. So that's the investment for this construction. The wastewater treatment plant, we just also want to make sure that everyone is aware that there is additional capacity that's going to be available for off-site sewer flow. And of course, that would be very exciting for the developer and the town if there was some support that was available for flow to be accepted for other commercial properties that are in the area into that wastewater treatment plant. So in other words, wastewater treatment plants can encourage additional development and support other uses in the town of Hyde Park that aren't supported with on-site septic systems. So the IDA process, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, it starts with the Dutchess County IDA. And the first thing that occurs is Dutchess County IDA retains a third-party entity to review the applicant's pro forma and to determine whether or not the request being sought is reasonable. And it's called a reasonableness study. And the whole goal is to ascertain whether or not the pro forma can justify the project and whether or not the return on investment for the developer is reasonable, and whether or not the developer will be able to stabilize the site or if the return on investment is too high. So the Camoin Group is the entity that Dutchess County IDA requires applicants retain to prepare this study. They review the project assumptions, as I said, all of the operating income and the expenses. It's in total performance review of the entire portion of the project. As I indicated, the goal at the end of the day is to determine whether or not the request that's being sought is reasonable. Some of the key inputs, in addition to project costs, labor costs, profitability, rate of returns, rental rates, and so forth, had to do with the residential, commercial residential rental rates. And so this is one of the key things that was asked for by the Hyde Park School District, so we wanted to make sure that we gave this information to you as well. The median household income, and this is right from the Camoin report, so this is not our information, but this is right from the third-party report. So the median household income in Dutchess County in 2022 was actually $89,721. And so we use that because it determines what reasonable rental rates are in Dutchess County and for this particular project. The average rents for these units, one bedroom is $2,100 to $2,290, and for two bedroom is $2,755 to $2,975. And those rates are commensurate with other typical similar apartments throughout Dutchess County. Other inputs, again, these were information that was specifically sought by the school board, so we wanted to make sure we presented this to you as well, had to do with the effects to the taxing entities. So for the school district, they were concerned, of course, about the number of school-age children that would be entering into their school. So we did an analysis. I don't have to go through each one of these, but at the end of the analysis, again, this was all done by the Camoin Group and by the third party that provided the fiscal impact analysis for this project as part of the town planning board review. There would be approximately 69 students that would enter into the school system. So whether or not it's public or private, it's expected that that would be over a 3-year period. When we looked at the total number of students in the Hyde Park School District, we felt that this was a very de minimis amount, and we provided that information to you and to the school board. As far as the town is concerned, so what would be the impacts to the town, I just want to make sure that I note that all of the roads and the infrastructure in this facility are privately owned, so there will not be an impact to the Hyde Park Department of Public Works, to water and wastewater and so forth. So everything is privately owned and privately maintained. There is no impact to fire and emergency services with an IDA assistance. So there's no reduction in taxes that are paid to fire or emergency services as part of an IDA assistance.
So Kelly, go back to that, because that was one of the questions. This does not impact the fire districts. They're paid the taxes that
Full
they're
taxes.
supposed to pay.
Full taxes,
All
yeah.
life safety is. That
All fire
answers
and
yours,
emergency
Barb.
services, yep. And again, no effect to DPW. So all these roads are all privately maintained. They're
no
open to the
highway.
public, and they're all privately maintained.
The roads are maintained in-house, not by the highway department, so there's no impact to the town, fire, or any life safety.
In addition, the gap or the difference between the taxes that would be paid for this project and the taxes that would be paid under the pilot, the difference isn't borne by the local taxpayers. There is no difference. So the local taxpayers aren't burdened by the generation of a pilot. They actually benefit because there's additional revenue that's actually coming into the town that wouldn't come in if this project weren't approved. So I just want to make sure that was another comment.
Because I think that the general consensus has become amongst the town members is that because of this pilot, they will have to increase their taxes to pay for it. And so I think there's a great misunderstanding. If you could explain that part to our town members, because people think that because you're giving, or you're asking us to give you a tax break,
That they have to bear the
that
cost.
they're going to
Yes.
be paying higher taxes to pay for it.
That is not the case.
Can you
So-
explain why?
The reason is because we come before these taxing entities and which is the school district and the town board. So you're the two major taxing entities. And we're seeking relief from those tax payments in exchange for the investment that the developer is providing into the facility and the infrastructure and the other improvements that they're providing. That delta is not borne by the taxpayers. That delta is non-existent. So the additional revenue that you have coming into the town is a result of the project coming in. There's no delta that's borne by the town residents. I don't know if I explained that well enough.
Where's the evidence?
Well, that's statutory law. I mean, you can contact the Dutchess County IDA and have that discussion with them. So that's, and I think that the Dutchess County IDA did meet with the school district, and they
Yes.
did explain that information to them.
And
So
some of the
again,
board members.
There is no, yes, I think there was board members, okay. There is no burden to the taxpayers in the form of making up those delta numbers. Again, if this project does not proceed, there is so much revenue that would be generated by this property as vacant land. And we've provided that information that we've given to you. If this project proceeds, there is additional revenue that's going to come to the school district and is going to come to the town, in addition to fire and emergency services, with no burden on the town or the school district. So again, all the roads are maintained, all the water is maintained, all the wastewater is maintained. There's a new wastewater treatment plant that's being built, that there is additional capacity that's available to the town. With respect to the school district, there are 69 kids that are estimated to come into the facility. And some of those children may enter private school, some of those children may enter public school.
Also, you got to keep in mind on a 20-year pilot, these, the project is going to take, Larry, what do you project for the completion of this phase?
The village neighborhood, 5 years.
Okay, so from now to 5 years,
Right.
pilot has nothing to do with the town. So if the taxes go up from now to 5 years, the school taxes, it's got nothing to do with the pilot. The pilot doesn't kick in until they start to receive certificate of occupancy, which these are going to start in phases. The first project will kick in once it gets a CO. They'll start
Right.
paying their share. The second buildings get COs, similar to what's going on in Eastdale. As they were occupiable and received their COs, their pilots kick in. They also have a 20-year pilot. So it's very similar to that, except the planning board did a pretty good job, and Larry's team and in architectural, this is totally different. It's not like the same building everywhere. And so you won't see that. But the sales tax that they get, the abatement from, is only for the construction material. Like, we're tax exempt, the schools are tax exempt. When you pay materials, you understand that, everybody does. That's only towards that. It's got nothing to do with sales tax exempt. Once they start occupying, when the hotel starts in November, and that gets its CO. That 10-year pilot starts kicking in. They have 5 years to build the second one, so this portion is going to be in. The hotel will pay bed tax, they'll pay sales tax, they'll be generating jobs also. This phase will start in sections. So down the road, we got kids today that when this project is completed, the kids you see that are younger, the foresight, that project, this project in a whole, if fully developed, because, you know, market-driven, if this nucleus brings everything in it's supposed to, this project will generate more than the entire taxes that we receive now. So that's big for the future of this town. And she's saying it's open capacity for the sewer. We are looking into bringing pipes down for the sewer system we need up here in the main drag.
Right, and you're including the sales tax?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sales tax will be
that's the
coming
big
in.
one.
That's a lot of money that'll start generating right away. And the residential homes that she's talking about, those, once they get built, which this needs to bring the people to market, so they can market those, the 12 will be done right away. Those are 100% taxable based on, and they're not going to be inexpensive, so they'll be paying some serious taxes. And the other 340, when they get to the, what's it called, the Ridge home?
Yeah,
Ridge
the
area,
Ridge, yep.
Those are
445.
444.
Right.
That's going to be probably, what do you think, Larry, 7 years, 8 years from now,
Yeah,
something like that?
about right.
That's fully taxable. So this pilot will not affect it. That's where you want to get to, is all that. And that's what that's why we've been talking about it. We want everybody to understand that. If your taxes go up, school taxes, between now and 5 years from now, it's got nothing to do with the pilot.
Yeah, and again, those 445s, they're 3 and 4 bedrooms.
Yes.
That's when you need full tax, right? Instead of 1 and 2s.
Is that when the students, the projection on the 69 students or whatever it was?
No.
Is that's just for the village section?
That's for the
Village
villages.
neighborhood.
And
yeah.
did the school district give you any idea of how many students we've lost in 10 years? Because we've closed a school.
I do not have that.
And
That would be
there's
interesting.
rumblings of closing another one, so I know we've lost students out of the school district. They didn't give you any idea? Okay.
No,
I
no.
will be calling
It's a
them.
common theme
Mm-hmm.
up in this area.
Yeah. Okay. So just, as you had said, sorry, I found a section that I wanted to read to you that I didn't have in the presentation. If this project were not built over 20 years, the total taxes that would be generated is approximately $6 million. So that's vacant land. I'm not including the hotel. This is just vacant land is $6 million. If this project is built, the taxes over a 20-year period would be $51 million under the pilot.
That's just this phase.
That's just this phase.
Yes.
And so that's a difference of $45 million that will come to the school and to the town in the form of taxes. Again, as you had said, Mr. Supervisor, that's not including sales tax. And so the other tangible benefits are all of the sales tax revenue that will generate once this project is occupied.
So while we're on that topic, the investment for Phase 2 is $407 million. What's the cost of, do you know the cost of the water treatment plant and also the cost of Phase 1? I'm trying to get an idea of the total dollar amount that's going to be anticipated being spent here.
Right, so Phase 1's the hotel, 50 million.
And the wastewater treatment.
Wastewater treatment plant's 15.
So another 65 million on top of that, so 470 million.
And that doesn't include the single-family residences?
Correct, yes.
So-
This is just phase 1 of the hotel and the wastewater treatment plant, and phase 2 is 470 million. And so then, in addition, you have another hotel, as Mr. Supervisor had indicated, that would be forthcoming, and then all of the other single-family residential, that will be fully taxable. And again, the 12 townhouses that are in this section are shown on the drawing, but they're fully taxable. They're exempt from the pilot.
So is that going to be considered Phase 3, all done at the same time, or that's?
They're in phase 2, but they're exempt. Yeah, the townhouses will be in phase 2, but they're exempt. And they're not
And how about the
included.
additional hotel?
That's not in phase 2. That's still yet to come. So
Okay.
still yet to come is 400 and, do you have that?
Well, no,
written?
it's total square footage, we'll get that.
It's right here.
Yeah, I got it. Is 546,882. Of that is 300,000 square foot second hotel. There's,
A few more retail.
yeah, quite a bit more retail up on the northwest corner. We have that pad side up there.
So what's the total investment? When the job is totally complete, the whole project is totally complete, what's the total dollar investment?
Yeah, it's, well, if this village neighborhood, I don't have the numbers handy in front of me, but it's significant.
I'd like to get that number, because I've been hearing numbers of $1.4 billion or whatever. And
Well,
if
if
we're-
This is 407, plus phase 1 is 65, so that's 470.
And these are real numbers. These, we went out to market to get these numbers in order to.
So you're close to $1 billion, but we can get you that
Yeah,
information.
it's over
Yeah.
$1 billion.
So I'm just trying to clarify, in the resolution, it states the 12 townhouses.
Those are
That was a
exempt.
mistake, we're gonna,
Yeah.
we're gonna.
Oh, we gotta amend that also.
Remember that?
That's not
It needs to be
included in the
amended.
That's the description of phase 2. So the description of phase 2 includes the townhouses, but the townhouses are specifically exempt from the pilot because they're fee simple ownership, which cannot be included in the pilot assistance.
Is there anything else in the first phase of this, the resolution that is not included?
No. That is the only portion of it that's exempt.
Is any of the additional infrastructure that is going to be done on phase 2, that goes with the phase?
Correct.
So, okay.
All the water, sewer, storm, all goes with phase 2. I'm just going to do, I think we've kind of gone all over on the presentation, but I'm just going to show one more slide, which is the next one, and then this is just the pilot schedule. So this is maybe somewhat hard to see. So as you had indicated, there is an existing 10-year pilot on the project, and that pilot affects the hotel and the wastewater treatment plant. It's exempt from the pilot payments, but it's benefiting from sales tax exemption. This proposal in front of you seeks to convert the 10-year portion that's on phase 2 to a 20-year pilot. So we're not going from 0 to 20, we're going from 10 to 20. And this is the schedule that we've proposed for the abatement on this particular slide. This shows you a comparison of what the existing 10-year pilot abatement schedule is, and again, these are the reverse. So when we talk about abatement, this means what percentage of the taxes are being abated. And so for the first 3 years, 5% of the taxes on the assessed value would be paid. After that, you'd have 10, 10, 10, I think, as you go on the schedule. So we just wanted to provide you with that schedule.
Do we have that in
The bottom of the, in the resolution. back page.
Oh, it's in the resolution.
Are we
Is
allowed to
that-
have a copy of that?
Yeah.
I can't read, we can't see or read that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do, stop.
Yeah, is it, you have the resolution there? Go to the last page.
Yeah, there was 2 left there. There you go.
Oh, no, you
No,
don't
you'll
have
get
it.
it. We'll get it for you.
And
Before
so
you leave.
Here we go, second to last page.
the last thing that I just want to end with, and of course, I'm happy to answer any questions, and we've tried to be as transparent as we can, so we're certainly open to any questions that you or the public has, is that we did work closely with the Dutchess County IDA on developing this proposed payment schedule. And on average, a project of this size in the Hudson Valley is seeing anything from a 20-year pilot to a 30-year pilot, given the magnitude of the size of this project. So we're on the low end of what's sought for something like this. And again, this schedule was developed with the IDA and then with the Camoin Group as part of that reasonableness study that we prepared. So
Aside from Eastdale, do you know of any of those other projects that have the 20, or Elm, you might be familiar with them?
Yes, Eastdale has a 20.
Eastdale has a 20. Do you know
And
any
then
others?
Cricket Valley, I think, had a 20.
I think Cricket had 20, yep, also.
And so the one out in Montgomery. The reason I know is because I sit on the Dutchess County IDA LDC board for 10 years now.
I think the other project that received the IDA assistance was the relocation. There's a manufacturing facility that relocated to Poughkeepsie, and that one received. But similar projects would be Eastdale.
And do you know of any projects that got the 30-year?
I do not. Nope, I do not.
Kelly, how long has this project been going on?
Larry, you could probably address that.
Before coming over to Belfield, I worked at Chazen, and I started on this project in 2012. So,
11 years.
It's been 11 years to get to
Been
this
11
stage.
years, and we're just seeing a hotel.
right. Yep.
Okay.
So based on this Exhibit A, it says pilot year 1. Does that mean year 1 after the construction?
CO.
That's actually a very good
CO.
question
Yeah.
that you asked that. So the way that it works, it's, yes, as everyone is saying, it's based on the CO for each building. So each building will get a CO, and then that triggers that 20-year benefit on that particular building.
So up until that point, what kind of taxes are you paying to the town? Or what kind of payments does the town get? Just as if the property were not developed?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then after it's developed in 5 years or so, then this starts,
Well, again,
as they get the CO.
It's
It'll
it's
be
in
as
phase.
each building gets its CO
Exactly.
kind of thing,
Yes,
so it
yeah.
could be rolling
It's a
Right.
month
rolling,
by
yeah,
month.
it's a rolling start. Sorry if I didn't explain that. So it's
Okay.
rolling. So as each building gets its CO, then their 20-year benefit assistance starts.
Starts.
So it rolls. So for example, if in the first 3 years, there were 10 buildings built, and then in the next 3 years, there was another 10, those 10 would be 3 years behind. So it just, as soon as you get the CO, then that starts the clock on that 20-year benefit.
Okay, now how does this compare with this draft you had given us? The first year was 11%,
So the Comoin report is very confusing, and even I'm confused with it. So I like to provide the schedule that I gave you because I think it's crystal clear. The Comoin report factors in other ancillary benefits that you would be receiving, and to be honest with you, I cannot explain how they got to the 11%. That's why I like to provide the schedule so you can see.
But I think they were doing it over like
Less.
years 1 through 5, giving the cumulative
Well,
benefits.
Well, they have the
10 years,
proposed-
the 10-year pilot showed their chart, so tell me how this compares to their, showed 50, the first year 50, 50, 50, and then it
Correct.
went.
Yes, and then.
Okay. And then that one went to 11, 11, 11. Now this one is saying 95.
Yeah, the 11 is confusing. It's the opposite. It's actually the taxes being paid versus the taxes being abated. But they factor in, I don't know how they get to 11 on there. It
Okay,
has
so
to-
the 10-year would be abating 50%, but this one, you're abating 95%.
That's correct, for the
For
first
3
3
years.
years. Yeah.
That's a
correct.
lot.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to look at the phase of
I
completion.
understand, but shouldn't the town be making a little more than 5% for 3
Well,
years?
the reason, and I'll explain this to you, the other factor that goes into creating this schedule, this payment schedule, is the financing entity. And so we work closely with the Comoin Group, with this project's financial entity. And so they develop a schedule that requires the project to be stabilized after so many years. And without this type of payment schedule, the project cannot get stabilized. There is such an immense amount of upfront investment in the form of the soft costs, the permitting, the grading, the roads, the infrastructure is significant. All of that has to get in first before you can start building a building. And that's why in the beginning you see such a significant abatement request because of that investment that's going in initially. That's the reasoning for that.
They do provide a detailed pro forma in their analysis. It is kind of hard to understand if you don't understand the financing of it, but it doesn't hit the benchmark performance financially until after year 13, 14, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
it's 14.
And that's based on 5% interest rates. Of course, those rates are significantly higher
7.5
now.
now.
And is there a sliding scale, or is, when the IDA looks at this, is there some type of milestones that you have to meet so that we know that by such and such a date, you have to
Yes.
be completed?
Yeah, there is, so managing the IDA paperwork and so forth is probably a 3-person job. So there's monthly reporting that is provided to the Dutchess County IDA, and then they're making that information public, and they're also providing the reporting back to the state. So we are, on a monthly basis, once this is under construction, providing them with constant updates.
There's
And
also a 80% local labor policy that they have to maintain, or they could lose their benefits. They could be
Correct.
recaptured. So it's got to be local according to what the DOL considers local within their demographics. Westchester, Putnam.
counties, right?
Right, 9 counties in here, not up into Albany, or out-of-state contractors. It's not allowed.
So also, I see that, and I don't have it with me, but I recall the first, some of the documentation has all the grid numbers of all different parcels.
Yes, yes.
So the one parcel that is up on the corner of St. Andrews Road is for sale. Marketing as a whole or part of the project. How does that fit in the whole portfolio of this sliding scale and also the tax exemption? If they sell off that piece of property to somebody else that wants to do something, how does that?
They get the tax exemption, but at the original.
That's not part of this pilot.
That's not
No.
part of this request that's in
No,
front of
that's
you right
not,
now.
that's at the 10-year.
Yeah.
That's
That-
still a 10-year.
Yeah, that,
Say it
that,
again, you got me confused.
That parcel gets sold off, they can transfer the existing 10-year pilot to that parcel. That's.
So the agreement is, the agreement that the IDA makes with the developer is transferable to somebody else?
Yes.
it's a leasehold agreement, so they actually have a leasehold interest in it, and so that's approved by the IDI.
Right now, the Eastdale comes every so often when they find a new tenant, like Rossi's and all them, they transfer the pilot to those people. That's how they're able to build their businesses quicker.
Yeah,
So
it-
the business gets the tax break to go in there under the pilot?
Under the pilot, yes.
That's the incentive to attract
So that would be the-
businesses.
That's how they come, that's what brings them in.
Oh, it's what brings them in. That's how they can establish.
You see Eastdale, how all
Yeah.
the businesses are starting to show up?
Uh-huh.
They're incentivized because it's a leasehold. They pay the taxes, but it's based on a 20-year
So
pilot.
when they take possession of the leasehold, it starts wherever that CO of the pilot was, though?
Yes.
So if the pilot is 4 years in?
Correct.
They only have 6 more years of the pilot? It
Yes.
doesn't reset?
Correct.
Currently, yes.
That's the, sort of the circle.
So that's
of
how
life
you
is
try to lure
attract
them
businesses,
in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which makes
But the
sense.
benefit, again, that's what the reasonable study is completed, is to show that it's overall to benefit to the community in the form of additional taxes with no burden.
Well, can you just touch on, I'm curious to see, how many jobs is this going to create over what period of time? I think that's a big selling point also too, and what type of jobs are they, so that we kind of got a better understanding?
We can get you, I don't have that information in front of you,
Well, I
and we
would
can
think
get you that.
initially you have your construction jobs there, Joan.
Well,
Yeah, I might have that.
Well, Eastdale came in at 127 full-time
Have it.
jobs.
They have that big, the medical
whole
building there
Yeah.
too.
And this phase is smaller than Eastdale.
Whole freaking document.
to
I'm not
give you
sure if I have that
perspective.
with me.
Phase 2?
Sorry.
Phase 2 is
Phase
larger
2
than
can,
Eastdale.
That's
includes
incorrect,
the
right? That-
commercial properties like the
There.
grocery store and things like that that we
It's
were
that's there.
asked about.
What's the question?
Phase 2 includes like the grocery store that we were asked about and
Yep.
and that commercial
All that
property. So
stuff,
we're
yes.
looking at,
The potentials.
The Phase 2 that's presented right now does not include that square footage,
oh, okay.
okay?
But they're not exempt from, okay, so when a business gets
Wait,
in there,
wait,
they're not
excuse me,
exempt from sales
excuse me.
tax, right? Al?
That's not what the thing says.
It's not included in our Phase 2 site plan, currently being reviewed by the planning board. In the IDA site plan, it is included, I'm
Okay.
sorry. It is included.
But we still get sales tax revenue from
Oh,
any
yes,
commercial
that's-
property
that's
that
the
comes
big
into
play
that
here.
area.
Piles.
The sales tax, right.
If stabilization, I think that's the word you use, is at year 13?
13, 14
That's
at
based on
5%
5%.
interest rate, so it's going to get pushed out further.
Okay, but once they're stabilized, why doesn't the town get more than just 5% more each year?
Oh, it does, yeah, so
But it
on the
goes
scale,
75?
so
Okay.
the scale is,
Yeah.
again, it's the opposite, so for the first 3 years, there's a 95% abatement, so that
Right.
would be 5% of the overall taxes, and then it rolls down, to 50%, yes, you're correct, and then in year 21, it's 100% taxes are paid.
Right. But I meant from stabilization point to the next year, it's only, well, it depends. If it's year 13, it stays the same as 75, then goes 65. Why couldn't it, once it's stabilized, why couldn't the town be,
Because the way
50
the
earlier.
financing institutions require these pilots is that the estimated stabilization is in year 14. They need to be guaranteed that it is going to be stabilized, and so that's why they require the 20-year pilot for any adjustments, increased costs, increased interest rates, changes to the project, and so forth. And so the 20-year is the standard for the financing institutions to ensure that the site is stabilized, because they don't want to accept the financing for the project and then have the project not be able to, pay their financing bills and pay their bills.
Is it also standard that at year 20, it's 50%?
For this particular project, so there isn't really a standard schedule, but based on the inputs and the costs associated with this project, this is what the performer required in order for the bank to provide any financing.
Can you just clarify what you mean by stable? Is that at the break-even point for?
Stabilization is you can stand on your own, so you can pay your bills, you can pay the costs, and the site is functioning.
Yeah, just to throw in, there's a benchmark performance in the Camoin report. They give a low end and a high end. We're hitting the low end at year 14 using 5% interest rate. We know the interest rates aren't 5% now, so, but that's what it is. So when you recapitalize the loan, you want to make sure the project's going to be successful after that. That's why the 20-year pilot. Otherwise, they wouldn't be interested. And we do have a letter from our lender stating that.
We provided that to the town.
Yeah.
Yep, so you have a letter from the financing institution that we had provided.
Anyone have any direct questions?
Can I just go back?
Absolutely.
In the
Okay.
beginning, you said what the town would recoup if the property were vacant, and you gave a second number, what the town would recoup as this project goes forward. And was that difference including the pilot program?
Yes.
That's just the pilot program.
That's just, yes, correct. So if the property remained vacant, the taxes would be, I don't have the number in front of me, but it's $6 million.
I think you said around $6 million.
Yeah, it's
6.2.
Yep. And then with the development and the pilot, the overall taxes would be $51 million. And so the difference is approximately $45 million of benefit of additional taxes.
To the town.
Even
To the
with
town.
the pilot.
So it would be an increase of taxes for the town. With the pilot program, it would give the ability of more businesses to come in, as they're doing. I think we all seen how big Eastdale has grown.
Absolutely.
So that would be a second plus. The third thing is it would create a start of a possible infrastructure for wastewater treatment to move further up 9 and attract other businesses there also.
Correct.
By providing excess capacity.
And additional job opportunities for construction, and then once the project is complete, the sales tax is significant.
And then also with people moving to the area would expand the businesses and people patron the businesses that are local here also. Alrighty, thank you very much.
Questions? Anyone else? Any public? Now's the time.
So is there a reason, I'm naive, but is there a reason it's either 10 or 20? Could it not be 15 as opposed to 20?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yes, we did address that. The reason is for project stabilization and in order to be able to receive the financing. So we did create this schedule with the financing institution, and the 20-year pilot allows this project to be stabilized.
This is created by the lending company. They're saying, hey, we'll take the risk on this $500,000, $500 million if you have this in place, and we know you won't be overburdened because we already know that everything else is too high, and then we'll take the risk, because they're the ones at risk. We don't want to vacant, this property's been vacant how many years? 20, 30 years?
More than that.
Look at the Moose Lodge.
Yeah.
Moose Lodge started to get developed, or wanted to be developed. That's 30-somewhat years ago already. If you think about that in perspective, you're going, 20 years is going to, I may not see it, I might see it if I stay healthy, but I know the kids are going to, the young people are going to see it. They're going to benefit from it. It's going to be mind-boggling. And we are proposing, we've had some meetings with T-Rex about possibly tying into their sewer system, which saves the town of Hyde Park $12 million just in sewer construction of a plant. And we don't have to worry about anybody's questions of where the plant's going, rock and all that. We're just gonna go right down. We're not gonna tear up the sidewalks. We're gonna get as close as we can.
So benefits are before 20 years.
Yes, there's $12 million that we're gonna save if we can get the piping down, and that gives that whole corridor up Route 9. We know there's failing septics all over for the businesses. Now these businesses will have, they'll have sewer and water, which is what everybody's been trying to get here for I don't know how many years.
But they voted it down.
Well,
That
because
part.
Many of the businesses in this town on Route 9.
But in this case, they wouldn't have
Because
to
it was a
pay for
bond
that. And it was a bond
loan.
referendum.
We're not gonna do that by loan. We're looking, we've been applying.
I wouldn't have to pay if I jumped onto that sewer. line.
You have to pay connection fee and usage fee, that's it. There's no tax. See, when they take a bond out, they were gonna take out, they thought was a $20 or $18 million bond, which we had recalculated. We knew that was wrong. It's $30-something million to build a sewer treatment plant.
And they
okay?
wanted to put the sewer treatment plant right in the back of Pine Woods.
Right.
Right, where you and I live.
Where the water treatment already was before,
No, there's no
No.
water treatment there.
on East Market.
No, it would be in the back of Pine Woods.
No, I know, but there was a water treatment on East Market.
Right.
It's all abandoned now.
Right.
Right.
But this would have been
Yeah,
actually
but with the
in
loan,
Pine Woods Park.
that's why everybody was getting hit with the loan fees. And all the businesses, right now, if they went through with that, and then COVID hit, forget it. The town would be bankrupt. So the avenue we're taking is grants, federal grant. Right now, infrastructure grants are all over the place. Sewer's part of it. So we have close to $7 million sacked away for that. From grants that we've received since we took taken office, some were from previous, and then Belfield donated, $1,257,000, I think is the exact number.
$1,250,000.
Only to $7 million more you're gonna give, I heard. 7,000 more.
So
we're working on that.
So the other good piece of this puzzle that I see is, I know that I was on the planning board many years ago, and I know that gentleman Baker Gagne was in front of us, and he was a guy from the city, and he came up and he promised us the world. And he was talking about building an 18-hole golf course. Carolyn, I mean, no, you were, the guy gave us the whole sales pitch. And he was gonna build a golf course, and he's gonna do this and do that, and he didn't do nothing.
That's
And the
right.
project sat. My perspective as a contractor, and not, basically, I don't want people to say, oh, he's thinking that he's gonna get work. I'm looking at it from the perspective that I think the town can grow, and I would hope that if we did pass this, and I'm just saying this out loud so the developer kind of knows my feelings, that the developer would have to really work with us in a good prospective way, that we could use their sewer plant and make it cost-effective, because if we don't have access to the sewer plant, we're going to be back to square one, and our new, as far as I'm concerned, our new town village is going to be down across from the culinary at Belfield, because everybody that's up here that doesn't have any sewer, the businesses that are here are going to want to go down there
Restricted.
and rent space, and we're going to have all empty stores here, up in the town center. So I'm hoping that by working with the developer, they have an understanding how important it is to make a deal with us that's cost-effective for us to use that sewer plant and start bringing that infrastructure from St. Andrews north.
Yes, correct.
Thank you, John. I concur with your thinking there, and I remember the gentleman you mentioned
yeah.
way back. I would like a clarification on the following, just to understand it better. Just numbers. If the land remained vacant, we would get $6 million in taxes?
Over 20 years.
Over 20
Over
years.
20 years. And if it's developed with the 20-year pilot, the town would get $51 million?
$52 million, I
52.
think it was.
Okay, so what would, if you know, and I hope you have a good idea, what would the tax revenue be to the town if we didn't do the 20-year pilot, but did the 10-year pilot? Or is there such a thing, as the gentleman said, to negotiate something between 10 and 20? What is that figure if we didn't do the 20-year pilot? What would the tax revenue be if we gave only the 10-year pilot? Certainly you must have that.
We don't have that calculation because it's not feasible.
$6.2 million.
So,
Yeah,
Well, let me just ask
$6.2 million.
this.
They won't
If
be
you-
able to
No,
do
no,
the
no, no.
project.
Oh, no, no.
Let me just ask it in a different way. If you only had a 10-year pilot, would you be able to do this development?
No, yeah, we can't
That's
proceed with the
it.
project
They
after
can't
that.
afford to do it on a 10-year.
So that, I don't have that
Well,
number.
they can't get the financing on 10 years for the
Okay.
scope of this pilot.
Yes.
There's still for me, there's still some credibility, there's still a bit of a credibility gap along the line of Lynn's questions. Why for 4 or 5 years, if we go with this, is there a 95% abatement? I heard what you said, I just have a hard time accepting that logically or any other way. That just seems really pretty outrageous to me. That you would get a 95% abatement past the years when it's stabilized. I mean, the town should be able to do better than that.
No, it's not 95.
Only like 60 or 40.
Well, they were throwing around 95.
No, that's the first 3 years.
John, pass that over to Karen so she can...
Yeah, it's very...
After stabilization is 75 and then 65.
Excuse me, Lynn, sorry.
After stabilization, it's 65, and then it goes to
65.
60 then.
Okay, so the 95 is the first 3 years?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And also, currently, right now, the hotel is under 10, and they have 5 years after they open to start construction on that second hotel, or they will lose the pilot on the first hotel. That was the thing that was put in place for them.
Yeah.
Now, they have to abide by that. They can't come in and ask for more on that one. But this project is the nucleus that will drive it. They have to build that second hotel, or they'll end up paying full tax on the first one.
And the second hotel is part of Phase 2?
No?
No.
No.
It's after Phase 2.
It's after Phase 2.
Yes,
Correct.
if they
So
can
you're
build
going
it
to
in
start
5
the
years.
second hotel
So
while
it's
you're
tied-
doing
the first
Phase
one's
2?
tied to the second.
You're not going to complete this in 5 years, are you?
No,
I
yes,
don't
second
think
one's
so.
tied to the first.
When was
This
the
is
second?
large.
Well,
Massive.
Well, again, it's 5 years
That was the
after the
idea.
first one opened, so
Okay.
we have a lot of interest in it, so it could be sooner.
So you
It
do
could be
have a
sooner.
quick timeline?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be sooner, but it has to be before 5 years.
Right.
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 It could be sooner. We don't have to wait 5 years to start the second hotel. We can build it at any time, but it has to
But
start.
how long do you think Phase 2 is going to take? That's when I guess I'm,
Yeah, so Phase 2, 3 years?
really?
Mhm.
With the recreation and the parks and curbs and
Mhm.
trees, it's only 3 years?
Yeah.
You're going to do $407 million in 3 years?
That's we have a lot of interest, and
That wasn't my question. My question was, you're going to do $407 million worth of work in 3 years? That's what I asked.
we're going to try.
Is any of this kind of like the prefabbing stuff that Marist
No.
uses? Because they
No.
can put buildings
No.
up really
No.
fast.
No.
No.
So just to put it in perspective, I know that Joe Kirchhoff at the Eastdale, I think the overall project was 160 to 180, 180 million?
197.
197.
But he's gone over, obviously, because of COVID, it hurt him pretty bad out there.
So
Yeah, he built dirt, you know, I mean, that was
Yeah,
the
he's
big
not
delay
building
was
the
during
same
COVID.
product.
I think if it was a different time frame and we were COVID-free,
No, I think,
possible.
I
It's
think,
possible.
I think their Bellafield's project, looking at it in perspective, I think it's more attention to detail, better materials.
Oh,
Not-
without
not-
doubt.
Not saying there's nothing
yeah.
wrong with Eastdale, but I'm just trying to put it in perspective. If that's $200 million worth of work, and, you know, I worked out there on the road 2 years ago, it's 3 years, and that's $200 million in 3 years.
right,
It's a lot of work to
It's
accomplish to get 400 million in 3 years. That's what I'm,
which is a great
It's-
opportunity for the Hudson Valley as
Yeah.
far as workforce and.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
you know,
5, but-
Labor and materials.
But again, that number came from, you know, contractors, regional contractors that we came in and said, this is what we want to do. Can we do it?
and do we have a workforce number to fit your construction
Yeah,
schedule?
You've asked, we
Yeah,
have
I
it
have to- I will
somewhere.
get that for you.
We can get it for you.
I think it was.
No, I also asked about the jobs, how many jobs, but I didn't ask the workforce.
So
The
we
jobs
have-
that would create,
Yeah.
We have jobs broken down by short-term construction jobs and long-term permanent jobs, so we can give you that information. It is in
The
the
FTEs
application
what
material
they're
that we gave you, but I just, unfortunately, I
We
don't
don't
have
have
it in
it
front of me.
here. Yeah.
But we did supply it to the town.
Yeah.
But I'll find it and pull it out.
You know, what you said before, I don't remember, I found, it might have been you, sir. What you said before about the businesses that are here that aren't doing well because they have the sewer system and the water issues, that they're going to just say, oh, well, let's go down there because we won't have to be paying as much tax and all the rest of the stuff if we go and work down in Bellafield area. We're going to create a ghost town here, and that is terribly troubling to me as the real estate agent for a higher-end development here in this village, in this town. For us, I'm doing well, getting people to live where I'm working, but I just feel that, what are we going to do with a ghost town if they all move down there? And just to say, well, if we can get the pipes in and if we can use that, it's all iffy to me. It's like, we don't know for sure that we're going to be able, I don't see where we know for sure that we're going to be able to tap in to that sewer plant that they have down there. And
That's accurate, but.
I already got the proposal to do so.
Yeah, we're negotiating with the contract, with the developer now. We have some language going back and forth, but you got to look at it from this perspective. We got to start somewhere. The previous board tried to negotiate with doing a sewer project. We've been talking about sewer. We're one of the only municipalities that don't have any sewer. We keep going backwards, so, yeah, I would agree with you, we're sticking our neck out a little bit, but we are saying, being vocal to the developer that says, we're working with you, and, okay, this might be out of the ordinary, we don't feel 100% comfortable with it, but in return, we're expecting something. So with us negotiating, I think that this is going to be our best chance of getting sewer to the town Hyde Park. I really believe that. So I say if that does happen, that these people up in the center of town that've been here forever, they're gonna see some relief and they're gonna be very happy.
it's certainly well over needed, as we all know. It's so needed. And, but I don't like, but I know you're gonna negotiate and you're gonna do all this and that, but it's like, I feel as though, I just don't like the idea of it being an if.
Well, listen, as we all know, like I said to Carol, we had Pierre Gagne, we had the Moose Club. The Moose Club started 30-some years ago with housing developments. The developer that was up there, I worked for him back 30 years ago. He owned all oil fields. He had an unlimited source of money. He went broke up there waiting for the approvals. So there's no guarantee in anything we do in life. But we have to move forward and try to make a step so that the town can grow.
But how is it that by doing this, those of us who live in this community who are already paying significantly high taxes are not going to be affected by?
Well, listen, between the sales tax revenue that we're going to get between all these businesses and everything, we're going to get relief. It's going to be over time, and the reason that we have to negotiate this pilot, in my eyes, is so that we can tell the developer, we need you to stay in the long term, stay and finish this project and see it to the end. And they're telling us that, listen, that year 13 is their break-even point. I hope they're in for the long haul. I can't say that if they are or aren't, but this is our best chance to get sewer, because the other project, we would have to put our own sewer plant in, go through all that expense, and it wasn't cost effective to all the businesses. They would have all went belly up. They all came to the town hall and expressed their concern that the project was way over cost. So this is our only value, our only option right now.
And you feel that it's doable? That it is doable with that sewer system that you're setting up down there for all of the land and all of those houses and everything else, that it's doable?
Yes, the Belfield project will be a little under, around 300,000 gallons per day. The capacity can go up to 600,000 gallons.
And we need 108.
Right. So we got
108 for the main corridor.
Main corridor.
Main corridor to start our
The main
businesses.
quarter is from,
All the way up to Pine Woods Road.
From St. Andrews Road, all the way up Route 9 to Pine Woods is what.
Right.
What
We
the
have a
initial-
little mile, but we're hoping the Stop and Shop there is having a lot of issues with their septic system, so if we could tie them in, it'll pay for that
And we
It's
have,
about
we
$4
have,
million for a month.
and we have language in there that when the planning board approved Farm Lane Stone Ledge housing development in the back, the planning board put the language in there, when the central sewer comes in, they must hook in, or they must pay.
Right.
So these are all.
They have to tie in.
These are all potential customers that are going to add to our infrastructure financing or cost.
And as far as doable, the project is under construction right now, so the wastewater, it's hard to see because there's trees in the way. It's easy to see the hotel, but as you just start to go up the hill on St. Andrews, if you look, or on Route 9, if you look to the right, you'll see it's under construction, but a wastewater treatment plant is predominantly underground. So the hotel goes up and wastewater goes down. So
Right.
it's under construction now.
And what percentage of the plant is, where are you at with that phase?
I would say we're, on this first initial phase, about 80%.
And the gentleman running that installation actually lives in Hyde Park,
The installer.
the installer,
Joe.
which I was surprised to find that out.
Yep.
How long has the current hotel been under construction? Isn't it a few years?
We started, going vertical in April of last year.
So
But we were on site July of 2018 doing the infrastructure.
I'm just tying into the skepticism John said about the rest of the project being done in 3 years if the hotel is, one hotel is taking two.
Well, that was during.
No, going vertical, but anyway, point noted, it's
But
aggressive.
I would like to just address your question. I think it's a really good one about, we don't want the center of town, the main part of our historic town to be a ghost town.
So sad.
But what I would then invite you to do is keep on our back so that the central plan for the whole town incorporates a plan to avoid that. You know what I
Well, you
mean?
don't have to keep
There's
on
a
our backs, because we're going to keep on the developer. We don't have to come to terms here.
No, the comprehensive plan for the whole town.
Yeah.
Just remind us, and not that we need it, but if that helps you, it helps us, remind us that the comprehensive plan has to be developed so that we can avoid that happening.
Yeah.
This will help a lot of the buildings, the CVS building, it can't be a restaurant. Why? Doesn't have sewer enough for capacity. So-
Famous Pete's, all the
Pete's
buildings that
Famous
are
has
vacant.
issues because their drainage is going, into the creating floods.
So the proposal before for the septic, or sewer, sorry, went up to Cranberries. Now you're saying it's gonna stop at Pine Woods? That's our new center?
Yeah, there's a project north of that,
From
where
Pine
you're
Woods
talking
to
about.
Cranberries?
There's a project north of you that they're coming to the town. I'm going to have a conversation with them. I've already had one, and they're putting in a sizable sewer treatment plant. It's more of a housing project. They're willing to bring it to 9, and we could pull it this way.
Down to Pine Woods, where
Yes.
their existing one would stop.
Yes.
Is that up by the rentals now?
Excuse me?
Is that what's up by the rentals now, that area, that whole bit of land that sits, well, like you have the rental buildings
Oh, the legend? No, it's south of that.
south of that?
Yeah. It's north of, it's in between the firehouse, it's right by Cranberries. There's property behind there. Yeah. We'll get all the details on it. They want to speak with us to see how quickly they can get their approvals, and we're hoping that that can be done in less than 11 years. That's what needs to be expedited.
When do you all vote on this? This phase 2?
The letter of support?
Yeah.
I think that's tonight. right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Having been involved in sewer for over 40 years now, I do know what our town would have been like if we had gotten the sewer the last major time.
Doc, come up to the speaker, because Tony's.
We wanna
the
hear
mic-
ya.
The microphone there, please, for the rest of the people that are watching from TV. Thank you.
I've got a chair right here.
Kelly, is
Hey,
that-
Kelly,
Thank you.
is the portable mic working? Yeah. Here you go.
I can use that too. Thank you.
No singing.
Dot Shanabert.
Karaoke.
Lived in Hyde Park since '89. I have a business here for 30 years, a florist. A lot of involvement in the town on the original boards where we tried to get sewer. I know personally the businesses that wanted to come to town until they realized we didn't have the infrastructure to support them and felt that it wasn't their responsibility to do it. If we didn't have enough pride in our town to give them the infrastructure they needed to do it, why the heck should they come in and do it? I think this, I'm delighted to see this. You're proving that you're here, you're investing in it. I do know with sewer up in our part of the town, those buildings would be full because they could be used. They can't be used right now. Pete's can't, they have no sewer. They just rehabbed the big building for the loading thing. They can't use that for anything else because there's no sewer capacity for that. So I think it'll be just the opposite. I think we will become much more viable here in the center of Hyde Park. And boy, I'll get that golden plunger out again if you guys get it. I had it. So thank you for all your hard work and your hard work. Kelly, if I could see you afterwards, yeah, I've got another speaking engagement for you, but I can't speak of it because today I am the citizen Dot Schoenevert.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dot.
Thank you, Dot.
And Carol, we are looking into, I've been looking into it, we're gonna discuss this with the other council members of doing a reval. That takes 3 years. We can't get a cost from anybody without actually doing an RFP for it.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the easiest way to do the RFP, and then we could get some information that way. Because we don't know. Some people say it's 300,000, some say it's 2 million, and there's no grant in the country that allows you to have that. So we need the funds to do that.
I'm glad that's on your radar.
Right, yeah, I know how it works, but I just can't get the ROI out of it. Nobody can tell me who's it gonna hurt and who's it not gonna hurt.
Yeah. You mean the outcome?
The outcome, yeah. I mean, I don't know if people, it's full assessment, but it does lower the equalization rate, and it lowers the school tax. It goes down to, what, $20-something.
And it's more fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just more fair
Yeah.
for our community, and thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not something I haven't looked into. I just haven't gotten the answers I want. I've talked to other supervisors. They all agree you got to get to 100%.
Yeah, and it's it can be a little embarrassing. You look at the table of towns that the school district is part of, and they're all at 100%, and we're at like...
Well, we don't want the state to say you have to get there now, you know?
That's right, and then not pay for it or something. So thank you for keeping it on your radar, and thank you, everybody, for your thoughtfulness on this whole project.
Just to reiterate, I just wanted to add one more thing, if I could. What the supervisor said, we may not be here for these full benefits. And you all have very genuine concerns and a lot of what-ifs. But we have to move forward. We have to start looking out for our children and our grandchildren that are going to be in this town. Just to not do anything and to say, well, it's okay, let's hang on to what we have now, just isn't working.
No, and I think we all agree we weren't, any of us, looking at doing nothing. We're happy, as I said, to have this commercial and this whole that come to us.
This also moves forward with the input from the residents of Hyde Park, so I'm so happy that so many people came out tonight to speak on this issue.
Thank you.
I also just want to make mention, just because we've brought up Eastdale a lot, that this project looks very different from Eastdale.
Yes.
I have to commend you, working with the planning board and the zoning board. The materials that you're using are beautiful. It's not big and daunting, commercially looking the way Eastdale is kind of shiny or whatever. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and I do suggest anybody who's really interested in the project, go ahead and look at the plans. Look at the way the planning board has come to you, and you've worked very closely with them with what they're asking for. Natural-looking wood materials for the parking garages, so it's not a big, cement structure that we're, like down at the train stations or whatever. It's really a beautiful development in an area where we do have a 4-lane highway, and I look forward to it, I really do.
Thank you for saying that. I think the town as a whole has been fantastic to work with, so it's been a collaborative effort in getting this to this point, both administrations, prior and tonight.
I just wanted to
planning
mention
board's
that so
been
people don't like
fantastic.
drive out to Easton and go, oh, that's what it's going to look like. It looks very different from that.
Lots of different colors, materials, and working with members of the planning board and consultants, so, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You
you.
have another question?
Because I don't really know about the pilot, so I'm just trying to understand, is the pilot, do you have to get abatement from the town tax and school tax, or can you do it separately?
It is separate.
My worry is the school tax, because New York State, we have a 2% tax cap. If we get more than these 60 kids, if there were one per apartment, and we had to open a school, or we had to hire more teachers, if our school budget goes above 2%, we need a 60% majority to pass that budget. That's, my concern is about school taxes.
Okay, Kelly, can you show her what the rendering of the village is going to look like?
I have all the paperwork from the other.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of parents with kids in there?
Well, the breakdown.
It's very difficult to say how
There-
many people are gonna, there are a lot of people moving into Hyde Park, even though it doesn't feel like it.
So, go ahead, Sarah.
It's
I
like,
just,
Nobody can find a rental or a house.
I just wanted to comment that though, that is a separate determination, so as Kelly said, it's the town board and the school makes their own determination whether or not to support it. I don't know the status, you mentioned you were before them last week, I don't know if they issued a support letter, or if
No,
they're.
not yet.
Okay,
Yep.
so perhaps you could voice those concerns before that board, because they would be the ones to oversee it.
All right, thank you.
But
Just out of curiosity, if we're looking at this big spike from 6 million to 51 million, is the school board looking at that same kind of spike in tax revenue over?
We presented all of that information to them, and so they're in the process right now of reviewing that. And I'm sure they'll get back any questions that they have, but we have presented the same information to them, yes. I think that their biggest concern was the number of children, which we provided to them, and so they can complete their own analysis of determining what impact, if any, that would be on their school district. Just as a reminder, though, as far as the configuration of the units, so there are 244 one-bedroom units, not likely that there would be children in the one-bedroom units, and 100 two-bedroom units. So just as far as the breakdown is concerned, so there isn't a preponderance of 3 or 4 bedroom units, they're 1 and 2 bedroom units.
And I'll say one other thing that I'm going to get a lot of flack for, but it's the truth. When we were on the planning board, the Meadows up on Cream Street started out, I guess, 120-some houses or whatever. Everybody in town had a big uproar, remember, years ago. Listen, they're going to put this housing development in, there's going to be all these kids, there's going to be this. To date, 20 years later, that project now is Enclave. They're coming back in and getting the project together, but the school board and everybody at the school was saying, oh, all these kids are going to come and we're going to get all these students and your taxes are going to go up. It never happened. It never happened. No, it doesn't mean it won't happen, but when we're closing schools down and we see the enrollment and we see the growth of Hyde Park being stabilized and every other town, Rhinebeck, Red Hook, is expanding, 60 kids over 3 years, 20 students, we're not, I look at it as we're that number, and it's not up to me to say, it's up to the school board, but that number is not out of line. It's marginal, yeah. It's marginal. That's my personal opinion.
Right, if it's 60.
Well, with 100 units, I guess, you can't have, I mean, I don't know.
102 bedrooms, you could have 200 kids.
Well, the analysis,
Yeah.
so we could argue the fiscal analysis, but it was done by a third party, and it's using national standards that we have guidelines and so forth to utilize for the generation of school kids. So they utilize national standards, and then they also use Dutchess County standards. So there was 2 different analyses that were completed. We used the higher of the 2 numbers.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm good. Any other questions?
Anything else?
We answered as many as everybody needed.
That's it?
Thank you,
Okay,
guys, for
thank you
being
very
here
much.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, panel.
Thank you, everybody, for giving us the time and the opportunity to ask questions and be heard.
Thank you, ladies.
Appreciate it.
Glad you're here.
All right, now we move on.
We're going to vote on it, I guess. Other than the cost of
executive?
Should be fast.
Yeah, I would
I would think, yeah.
Oh, because it involves one.
Yeah.
This one's a law?
I mean, I feel executive. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Isn't
I
it-
knew that. I would have been there before I walked in.
Can be made to enter executive session.
They usually do an on-track vetting.
Oh, okay. That's what I asked you to
Nice to
vote
see
on.
you again. Take care.
Well,
Thank you
let's
for
go
coming.
I look forward to meeting you.
Okay.
What's on the app?
Nicole.
It's so great that they came.
Nicole, can you start?
Resolution 227-1 of 2023, resolution adopting the proposed law number A as 2023 entitled "A Local Law Amending Chapter 100, Article 1 of the Town of Hyde Park Town Code Tax Exemption for Senior Citizens."
May I have a second?
It'll be right here. It should go fast.
Second.
Go. I'll let you know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Can I say something first before I
Okay.
vote? I just want to make it clear that we did discuss the concerns that were brought up to us by the constituents.
Yes.
And it's a somewhat minor adjustment, because it's not going to be a huge number of people. So that I vote aye also, but I just wanted to know that we're just not doing this without thinking, that we took into
Yes.
consideration what people asked.
Donna, do you want to do a roll call
Yes.
for the local law?
This is as amended.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Noakes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ruggiero.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prusakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torrigiani.
Aye. Now, this one, we're going to take into consideration.
Men?
We're not going to.
Resolution 227-2 of 2023, resolution adopting proposed local law number B of 2023 entitled, "A Local Law Amending Chapter 100, Article 5 of the Town of Hyde Park Town Code, Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers Exemption."
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Would you like a roll call?
A roll call, please.
Councilwoman Noakes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ruggiero.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prusakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torrigiani.
Aye.
Resolution 227-3 of 2023. Resolution authorized the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to allow Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP, Kyle Burnett Esquire of Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP, to enter into consent order of judgment to settle the tax cert proceedings brought by Gleason Family Properties LLC against the Town of Hyde Park for the tax year 2022.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 227-4 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to allow Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP, Kyle W. Barnett Esquire of Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP, to enter in consent and ordering judgment to settle the tax certiorari proceedings brought by Thomas and Cassandra Sear against the Town of Hyde Park for the tax year of 2021 and 2022.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 227-5 of 2023, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to send a letter of support to the Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency, IDA, in support of the T-Rex at Hyde Park LLC Bellafield Phase 2 project.
All right, this has been amended to show that the 12 townhomes are exempt from the pilot program.
Make a motion to amend it.
A motion to amend?
So moved.
Second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
We need a second on the resolution.
Okay. May I have a second on the resolution?
Second.
Okay. May we have a roll call?
Councilwoman Noakes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ruggiero.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prusakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torrigiani.
Aye.
That's me.
Resolution 227-6 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to amend Resolution 213-3 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to appoint part-time recreation leader Jamie Regan to the Town of Hyde Park Recreation Department to reflect a change in her last name from her maiden name of Regan to her married name of Principelli.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is that John or Don?
John.
John. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 227-7 of 2023. Resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of Town of Hyde Park Court Clerk Stacy Mackin.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 227-8 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of Town of Hyde Park Highway Department and Motor Vehicle Equipment Operator Gordon Lang.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 227-9 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of Town of Hyde Park Police Detective Joshua Tucker.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 227-10 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of Ann Weiser of the member of the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I want to thank Ann for her years of volunteer work.
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay, this one was added to the dais. Resolution 227-11 of 2023. Resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to appoint Michael Connors as a full-time motor equipment operator for the Town of Hyde Park Highway Department.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I'd like to have a motion to enter an executive session to discuss matters of leading to appointments of a particular person.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we go to executive session. Okay, that's
Who do you want to bring in first? Brian or?
Oh, yeah, we gotta, who gets interviewed?
Yeah, two of them. Yeah, no, we got it, two of them, so.
Oh, we amended the other.
Yeah.
That's the end of your chair.
Okay.
Just the motion is second to come out of things.
No actions.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
All right. We're back. I'd like to get a motion to come back from the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Sanchez.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Me.
Okay, state no action. No action was taken at the executive session. Is there any new and old business? Oh? Good. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
everybody. Get home safe.
We shall